Hey everybody, your favorite fabulous fairy. This is my uncle, and he's going to be telling some crazy ghost stories. So he was just already doing it anyway. So I was like, you know what? Since you're telling him, I'm just going to record him. So here it is.
So, as you all remember, Stacy. Okay. There's two very, very strange things that happened. So, a very memorable night. It's one of the few nights that I remember my cousin Dickie actually being present while I had a girlfriend present. My cousin Dickie, his girlfriend Wanda, my girlfriend Stacy, me, my girlfriend's good friend Eric, and my younger friend Stevie Wells, the guy that took care of my rat while I went into the Navy. It was like 5 or 6 of us, right? Oh, and Jennifer Ferry, Stacy's friend. There was like 6, 7 of us, right? It's before Pinedale became developed, and the business part and Walmart, all that was not there. It was just Pinedale, Calcott. You could walk all the way from Pinedale through a field to the Stewart and Us Rock Quarry Diesel Road right down to the river. You know, I grew up doing that and going fishing down there. Well, this one night, us 7 kids, you know, I was months away from going into the Navy, and 6 of 7 of us, we go march down that road. About 6 months before this, Stacy and my mom, everybody had pretty much moved out of the Pinedale house. Most of the furniture was gone. And the first weird thing that happened is Stacy and I, there was a guy that I had asked not to go in the house while I walked down the street. I was only an 18-year-old kid, mind you, cockstrong, full of I'll kick your butt attitude. And I'd warned this guy, Wendell Parsons, not to go in the house while I walked right around the corner. Well, I walked a little bit down the street just past my neighbor's house just to where Wendell wouldn't see me, and sure as shit, he got out of his car, ran into our house. So there I go. You know, I had 18-hole Doc Martens, and I thought I was a badass. I'm going to the military. I'm going to go kill this guy. I walk into my house in Pinedale. I had a boot knife. I had pulled it out. As I walked into my front door, Wendell was already down my hallway and made a left into my bedroom. Nobody else is in the house. As I'm walking down the hallway and going to make a left, well, here I see this blue. It looked like one of the blue men in Las Vegas, except there were no clothes. It was just a blue, like a blue mass, but a man runs out of what was our office and my sister's bedroom into the kitchen. Stacy was surprised to see Wendell and I both come into the bedroom at the same time, because her and I were tight. She wasn't trying to have nothing with Wendell, but Wendell was trying to do something behind my back while I went down the street to get him something. Well, that was the first crazy thing that ever happened to me, was seeing the blue man. Stacy called him the blue man. She was like, it's no big deal. That was a blue man. They appear when somebody's about to die. So that kind of changed the whole aura of what was going on. Wendell ended up splitting and anyways. Now let's go back to the night when the 6 of us are walking down the road, walking down to the river. It's a hot summer night. You know?
I remember that.
I'm holding hands with Stacy. We're all walking like we're a line, you know, like this. And this guy, Eric, this friend of Stacy's, goes walking in front of us by himself. And he walks so far out of sight before that road where it actually goes down to Stewart and Us Rock Quarry. He walked so far out of sight, and it was dark that we couldn't see him. Next thing you know, here comes the biggest white owl you've ever seen in your life. And it's so big that you can hear the flapping of its wings, coming from where he was walking right at us. Flies over us. Eric never returned to where we were that night. He never came back and said, hey guys, I did that or anything like that. And from that point on, it kind of bothered Stacy because it was soon after that I believe Eric committed suicide. He was bipolar. He was on all kinds of meds. And so that's the story of what happened. I literally, in front of my eyes, saw a shapeshifter. But this guy, even though it was the first night I'd ever met him, I knew I didn't like the guy right off the bat because him and Stacy broke up at the time that I met her at my friend Randy Putnam's keg party.
About the one that you just seen, the shapeshifter you just seen.
So one night, my godson, who I call him, I'm his legal guardian on paper. I call him my son because I've been there for him for 4 years. He's 11 now. We were coming back from I believe we were coming back from our friend Evan's house, and we were coming down Floridora, and I literally saw the same people that were infected on the Legend movie that were trying to kill Will Smith. I saw one walk across the street very fast and looked at me in the headlights of my truck and literally turned into a Doberman Pinscher as it walked. Something like you'd see out of a movie. Andrew and I both saw it at the same time. And he wouldn't really, he was like, I saw the dog, but I don't want to say I saw the dog walking upright, but I don't want to admit that it was a man, but he'll tell you exactly what he saw. He'll tell you he saw the dog walking upright and then went on all fours. But what I saw was a man more metamorphosized into a dog because me driving, I'm more on top of every little movement,
Tell about the thing we saw in the clouds when you and I went mushroom hunting.
One night, on the 52 West, or we might not have made the 52 West yet. We might have still been on the 152. Either way, we were heading to the Bay Area from Fresno, and I have footage of what they're now actually starting to discuss on Ancient Aliens, which are they're discovering ships that are camouflaged by our local cloud system. And Shaenna and I were going to get chanterelle mushrooms up in Moraga, and it's the first I'd ever seen anything, heard anything, or anything like that, and literally had to pull over and say, Shaenna, look, it's moving. It was a ship. That the first thing that caught my eye was there was a chunk, like a chunk of cheese, a wedge taken out of a cloud, a perfect triangle wedge.
There honestly was.
And I said, now wait a minute. How is that cloud that looks like both ends of it are feathers? It looks like it's going against everything else in the sky. It's not spinning clockwise like the rest of the world is. It's flying counterclockwise and cutting through clouds. So I videotaped it. And when you actually zoom in, you can see details of a ship. And you can see the trailings behind the whole thing for miles as it's flying through clouds. Proof.
It looked like a cookie cutter. It looked like if somebody took a regular cloud and then took like a triangle-shaped cookie cutter and cut out a chunk of the cloud and then moved it a few hundred feet in front of the cloud, visually a few hundred feet, who knows how the distance from up there. But then it was a perfectly triangle-shaped cookie cutter cloud in the clear sky in front of it, like as if a triangle had cut through the cloud.
It was
feathering off the edges, like the cloud was dissipating because it was being pushed by whatever the triangle was.
Right.
And like I was seeing it, and then he asked me to videotape it because I was riding shotgun, so I videotaped it. And actually, if you can send me that, I'll like link it right here so that people can see it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I left my phone, but I'll do that.
Tell about the drum story when you and Mom were little.
Oh, that's really.
True story though. It was weird.
Yeah, one
I
night.
thought it was weird about the silence. The silence was the weirdest part, more than the noise.
Yeah, one night my sister and I was maybe 11. I was on my bed in Madeira. We had a very big house on top of a hill. Maybe 4 neighbors within a half a mile, basically. And the sun hadn't quite come up yet, and an 11-year-old child, as a rule, you're not awoken until your parents say, hey, get up, brush your teeth, time for school. Well, what awoke me was the sound of my sister's dog, Amber, which was an apricot poodle. She was sitting on a cold tile hallway, which is something a dog, wouldn't do. And she's growling, and she's looking at me while I'm laying in bed. And then she'd look down the hallway, and she was growling. Then she'd stand up. Then she'd sit down. Then she'd growl. Then she'd stand up. And the whole time, I know this wasn't a dream, although my sister and I just barely got away with watching the Blue Lagoon. I don't know if our parents watched the whole thing. We probably had our eyes closed during certain parts. But the sound that the tribe made as Christopher Atkins is actually looking at the, what's going on the island, ooh, blah, blah, ooh, blah, blah. Well, my sister and I, uncannily, she's in her bedroom, which is a zigzag down the other side of the house. She's actually hearing the same thing, but we're both in bed, terrified, going, what the hell?
Yeah,
well,
I was like 14 or 15.
This all took place up until the point that the sun cracked through, because my bedroom faced the east. Until that sun cracked through my wooden Venetian blinds, I mean, it got louder. It got louder. I could actually feel the drums in my stomach, but you could tell it was in the distance. And as soon as that sun cracked through my window, Amber stopped. She actually came and got in bed with me. I got out of bed and met my sister in the hallway in her pink strawberry shortcake. Oh, it's like imprinted. I'm like a werewolf. I got the memory of a werewolf. And we were both like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And we were scared. And I think it was that day, little curious me, I got dressed. I went out in the orange grove, and I actually found something I had to come back and show my sister, which was a small fire made in at the side of a road that actually separates the orange groves, and about 45 feet from the fire was a 200, probably about a 340-pound pig tied to a rope that after further...
Right about their back legs, like somebody had drug it.
After,
so big.
Yep, after further investigation had been drugged completely around a Madera County block, which was from 16 and a half to 17, up 17 to Montreal or La Canada, all the way back down to, it must have ran around at least about 6 or 7 times.
You and Jeremy went out there too and found some chopped up, either you and Jeremy or you and Steve.
There were snakes, chickens, and rabbits that were like all chopped up by a fire. And a lot of crazy shit. There's also a hidden cave up at Sky Harbor that I think the two of you would be very interested in seeing. I have a picture of it that I've had ever since I took a picture of it the day Bobby and Steven and I went up and looked at it before Bobby came out and his manliness kind of things changed. So it goes about 75 feet into the side of a hill, and it has a tree covering it. It's where cows like escape during rain, but a person couldn't see it unless they followed the signs that are painted on rocks. You got to kind of find the first rock that's got an arrow, and it kind of goes all the way up, kind of guides you to the cave.
Is that the one that I heard about when I was little?
There's an altar inside of it.
Yeah.
It's a huge slab of rock that I don't know how the hell they got it in there.
You go all the way back to Sky Harbor? Like,
Yeah, Bobby and my cousin Bobby and Steven and I, when I was like 15, man, we were tighter than 3 coats of paint.
Like where the parking lot is?
Yeah, you go up, you go past Table Mountain, you stay on it for quite a ways back in there. You'll come up to a big metal flume. It's what controls water that comes down a hill. You'll see a white arrow. Look up. A little ways up a hill, you'll see a weird sign painted on a rock. You look a little further, you'll see another weird sign painted on a rock. And if you look up, we just got out of the truck, parked the truck, and started walking up there. It's before cops started knowing about, it's before Fresno and everything got fucked up. Before meth and drugs fucked everything up. When you were still a kid and you could still go to the river and ditch school and not get in trouble. You can't do that these days. There's cops everywhere, cameras everywhere. But we went up there and you just follow the signs, and I got a picture of it, and you'll find an outcropping, and you'll see where the cows have created a trail. Follow that trail, and it leads into a cave that goes way back in there. Imagine, let's say, if that whole countertop and that whole kitchen countertop were together and it was a big slab of granite, was carried in this cave, sat on some shit, and then some big rocks and shit were rolled in there for chairs. Yeah, there's a billion cow hoofs in there from cows escaping in there during the rain, but there's people that go in there too and you do crazy stuff. About a week and a half, thank God that my Aunt Dorothy got my cousin Dickie, God rest her soul. Got him in church the Sunday before he was murdered, November 16th, 1990. My cousin Dickie took me to a place out before they shut down in Calcott, and where there used to be some cotton storage places out there, and there used to be a building where my sister's ex-husband, and my cousin Bobby and I went out there and used to get bat guano, buckets of it, to grow tomatoes and stuff. We had a garden at our house in Pinedale. And my cousin Dickie took me out there and showed me a whole another side of that place that involved who did 7 years for killing my cousin Dickie for things that he saw. Should I not be saying this, Shaenna? Is this slander?
If you think so, then I could always beep that out or add.
Just beep out the. Well, anyways.
Well, it's a matter of public record if
should,
he was
and I
convicted,
could
right?
erase.
Oh, but he was a minor, so it could have been expunged.
There used to be.
Don't say his full name.
There used to be some crazy things that went on out there along the bluffs in Pinedale, and the occult was one of them, and I witnessed it 6 days before my cousin was murdered. And I know that's what it had to do with, because he saw things that he shouldn't have seen. And I don't need to say no names, but, karma's a motherfucker and you'll get what you get. So I don't really have any more scary stories except for the fact that a 10 by 12 bacon pan was thrown at my head in my own house while my wife and I were actually having a discussion. A spirit in my house actually tried to decapitate me, which is pretty scary.
What about the recording that you got caught with Ash?
Yeah, there's also 2 recordings where my autistic son was being spoken to by a spirit. It's pretty crazy.
What did it say? What did it say? Would you be able to get like a copy of that? Because I heard it with. They let me hear it.
It's on Janet Howell's website. I think the title of it is "Check This Out." It starts.
Yeah, Facebook.
It starts where, if you know my son, he doesn't speak, but what he does is whether it be a, it means different things. Well, he had his mom's phone one day in his room by himself. I was not home, and Janet was asleep in front of the TV, so Ash had her phone. And he had it on record. He likes to record himself. He's just all in love with himself on the phone. He was recording himself, and then suddenly the phone goes from looking at himself, and he puts it down. It's facing the floor. And you hear Ash go, like he's looking at something that's either doing something or talking to him. And you hear a very distinct, very evil voice that would make your skin crawl. Says, "Hey, did you miss me?"
Ew, yeah, ew, that's exactly what it sounded like. That fucking freaks me out.
Yeah, to this day, the back of my hair, the back of my neck, my skin, the hair on my knees. Yeah, there's hair on your knees, believe me, are standing up right now. And then there's also another one she has, and I forget exactly what she says, but it sounds not so much like a little kid, but like a woman, and it's not cool.
I heard a woman screaming the first time I ever went to your house, and I thought somebody was in the backyard having a meltdown. But I went into your little back room, like, you know where your drum set is now or whatever, or where it used to be. Mom was like in there smoking a cigarette, or like right there smoking a cigarette. So like I went out there, and it was like coming from right in that room, and it was dark in there. You know, we were standing like right outside of it. We weren't inside, and I'm hearing this woman scream bloody murder, and Mom's standing right there, and she's not reacting to it. And I said, "Mom, do you hear that?" And she's all, "Hear what?" And I'm like, "You don't hear that woman screaming bloody murder? Do you remember me telling you that, Mom?"
Yeah.
And she didn't remember that at all. I mean, she didn't hear that at all. And like, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. And when I first walked up to that house, I had never been up there before, and it was nighttime, and I could see a black shadow of somebody smoking a cigarette. So I just figured it was a dude. You know, it was like Thanksgiving, so I figured it was one of your guys' guests. He was up there smoking a cigarette. And as we're approaching, Spam tells me, she's all, "Shaenna," she's all, "This doesn't feel right." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but I know this is where I know it's this house or whatever." And so I was like, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me." And it didn't say nothing. All of a sudden, the cigarette dropped, and like it hit the ground, and the cherry went out, right? And as I approached the door, my eyesight clears up because it's nighttime, and I'm able to see the door at this point. There's no longer a man there, but he was blacker than the black. And like, I got this big ass headache, and I got this feeling that a guy died right there, and it was a head injury. And then like later, I don't know if it was that night or if it was a future visit, but Janet ended up telling me the story of what happened to her brother, and I freaked out because he died at the front door, and he died from a head injury. And so I'm wondering if like that was possibly him.
Yep, that's a very, very, that you caught that before. That's kind of like dead file stuff. You know how I got initiated by Timothy when Janet's dad was dying, and he asked me if I would stay and help Janet with him. We had him 11 days when he was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. The first day, I was walking out in the backyard.
Mom, don't give the dog the sucker.
I was walking out in the backyard.
There's chicken treats and stuff.
I just gave it a trick and treat.
There's a big fig tree. After all these years that Janet and I have been married, we really never got on the discussion really or what Tim looked like. Well, I'm coming around the fig tree. Here comes this blonde boy, happy as just big smile on his face, blonde hair blowing in the wind, no shirt on, jeans rolled up to his knees, runs around the fig tree, runs right through me, and it blew me down. I was shocked. I ran in, told Janet what's happened, and described this guy. She said, "You just described my brother to a T." Took out a picture, and I was blown away. Blown away. I think it was Tim's. But yet, why would a baking pan be thrown at my head a little time after that? You know, I thought maybe it was Tim. It's not like he tried to scare me or tried to. I thought maybe it was his way of initiating me, saying maybe thank you, because he was murdered in that house in 1983. Janet's dad, not once in 27 years, left that house. Up until the point that his wife died and she couldn't go shopping for him anymore. When he came home from vacation, found his only son dead behind the front door, taped up to a chair with his head beat in with a frying pan by Janet's boyfriend. All over drugs. Anyways, I need to get home.
Well,
It's
thank
been
you.
great talking to you guys.
Thank you
Peace
so
out.
much.